time, we'll call to order the Board of Education of Miami Local School Special Meeting. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Grice?
Here.
Mr. Cummings?
Here.
Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Mrs. Jordan?
Here.
Mr. Haas?
Here. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move.
Mr. Cummings,
I'll second.
Ms. Jordan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mrs. Jordan?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Grice?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, item 4, Board Information Session. Mr. Farrell, we'll turn it over to
Yes,
you.
we have some updated information to share with the board tonight related to specifications and going out to bid. And Nathan's here tonight to review those with you and answer any questions you might have. I also have a copy of bid language and that we would like to get out and posted sooner than later within the next few days. So we can start that process to seek qualified bidders to do the work.
Well, good evening. Thanks for coming out this evening. We've finally gotten to that point where, after deliberations and building consensus here, that we have something that I think everybody was pretty excited to see. Along the way, some adjustments were made. I think they show in the plan as being pretty good. So I think I'll just jump into here, and then we can get into nuances, little nuances of the whole thing as we get into them and see them. Everybody, no, never mind. We're fine. Sorry. So you have it, all these in your hands. So some of it might be easier to see them, but just kind of go through the sequence of this. This is the existing plan. The existing plan are these 5 finished out suites here, 2 here, and then the unfinished space here. This space was abandoned or opened, not in use. Kind of a carve out of the urgent care, so there's some issues with that. That I think are being taken care of right now. The telecom and electrical panel that had to be shifted out of there. Board or the county or the district administration space in this space right now, and then these 2 spaces here are vacant and now going to be completely gutted out as part of a first sequence. Also getting this space ready and gutting out this space while the administration stays in this zone until all that is complete, in which time they may move into that space. I think we've discussed a lot of that concept early on, but what we've done, you see that becomes, what's a little bit different too is that in the very early discussions, this space was completely unoccupied by the owner or a tenant. This is a circulation corridor running through there, dividing the administration, the bulk of the administration, from other administrative functions, registration, and also from the tech services that are going to be in this spot after the administration moves, the basis of administration moves over here. So there was some concern with the flow of guests coming in here and where do they go and who gets them, and do they have multiple waiting rooms? Does somebody have to be called up to get to somebody? How does that remedy? And then also having a cross traffic of anybody going to urgent care or Cincinnati or the Eye Institute or whoever may become a tenant in the future. That traffic, or anybody really, any person could be going through this space. So that space has been absorbed, and we'll talk about that, some of the consequences of that as we move along. So the projected cost was for a 13,000 square foot space. And this is how it broke down. Those are the cost, pretty much the pie shapes. You can see the architecture being the bulk of this. And then, So nearly 40% there, then the other, so you have demolition, kind of spread through everything, but walls, finishes, doors, ceilings, floors, all that being in that bunch. Then we have the cost to do the mechanical distribution, new telecom being routed to the space, new lighting, primarily new power distribution, and then plumbing, which would be some, just taking the original concept was trying to take as much of the plumbing that was in the middle of the administration space. If you recall, that big open block has a lot of PVC in it, so to try and take advantage of some of that sanitary in there, that was the original concept. Those would be the new restrooms for the administration. So, going back to the plan, this is how it became parceled up. In the end, we have areas of impact here. The technology suite eventually taking over by technology. We have the server space also kind of co-colored with them. We have a couple different groups in here: superintendent, student services, treasurer, etc. They're all blocked together in different spaces. We have some filing for different groups distributed. We also, this was originally programmed as a considerable amount of storage down here, and this ended up getting, some things happen there, is that it actually, because of the needing to have more office space for the future, and trying to have those ready rather than taking offices and having taken our storage space over in the future and then redo it. A lot of this stuff was already programmed in, so we have a couple flex offices for the future. So that as the district grows in population, needing greater resources here to take to administer it, there's that growth already provided. But also with that, it takes greater amount of mechanical to condition space for human occupancy versus files and shelves. It takes a greater amount of lumens. It takes a greater amount of technology. So all these things, all those different pie charts now get more intense as we go into this space here. We also, as we were talking about before, we did bring this into here within the whole program of the administration space. And what that does is allows people who want to come to the district administration offices to have a space dedicated to them, allow them to have a space that's not going to be bisected by other traffic for other places. So when you come into these doors here, which are new doors, or these doors here, these are doors that are exclusive to Little Miami School District. Now, you have an entrance here which will serve, for the most part, urgent care, but then people seeing the Eye Institute right now can come in this entrance, come in these doors here. But in order to prevent a dead-end corridor, which is a life safety fire issue, we had to make sure that this distance from here to here was no greater than 75 feet. So we couldn't have a deep corridor here and then allow, have that distance, which would create an issue where people could possibly get trapped or confused. So that is why this has happened. So we created the door here. And with that, by putting this space all within Little Miami School District space, a couple things happened. We did not have to put new plumbing out here. We were reusing these restrooms as they are, with some minor sprucing up, paints and cleanup. Those are going to serve these new offices. That's going to be staff and guest facilities. We also add a unisex bathroom to help for overflow or for special circumstances. But then we also have to carve out 2 new public restrooms outside of this space to address the public needs of this building. So that happens here. So we have a considerable amount of plumbing that is being installed in this zone. We have a new wall here. Another thing, let's see if I think this is kind of called out. I may have gotten ahead of myself, I apologize. So there, you identify this new, these are these are consequences of adding this lobby space. This now becomes a space for the school district. We have these restrooms. We also have to modify this door. There's right now just storefront glazing here. We'll take out the existing storefront glazing, a couple panes of glass, go in there, cut the sill out, and that becomes a new entrance door, which is actually, architecturally, if you look at the front of the building, you're kind of called to enter the building there, but no, the door's over 30 feet to your side. So it's actually kind of architecturally completes the building a little bit more. So that's a feature there. And then we have this existing shell that was meant for the most part, for a lab. And a laboratory is going to want to have natural light come in way high above all their desks, all their casework, all their whatever equipment they have wall mounted to shoot that light across the ceiling into the space. We have offices, people sitting down and so forth, and we have offices that we've created that actually had no exterior any windows. So for Terry's office, we've created a window right in here. We've added a new window for, I can't remember who's in this space.
That's support operations. I think that's Gene.
Gene's in here. We add a window here by for the conference room, gets some natural light in there. And then these are existing clear story lights. It's the only existing windows in this whole zone here, which we have a header in there, lintel in there already. We're going to cut the brick down to the wainscot, and then that's going to become a new window there. We're going to take that out, put new glass in there, so we don't have to put new structural in there in those windows. These we do, but those just get new bigger windows. One of those happens over here, and then we add a window. So what that's done is created a professional environment where we have as much glass as we can get into this space. Then we're looking at more conference rooms than we've provided by actually turning this, we call this the multi-purpose space. It's going to serve as a board meeting space, but it can be used at any other time as a large gathering space or subdivided with a high acoustic value wall here that's going to allow us to have meetings going on simultaneously, or just to create a smaller environment so it doesn't feel like the meeting is kind of escaping the space. You feel a little bit, I guess, just more intimate, a little bit better control. So for the most part, that can stay partitioned until you have a large event that actually would require either media or a large public gathering. So that's a cost item, but it's I think it's highly appropriate for a space like this to also allow the more meeting spaces for the district. Another thing for this is that space is going to be programmed for continuing education for the staff for the faculty of the district. Greg, do you have anything else to say about that space?
We really have worked to make that a flex space that we can use in a myriad of ways, so I think it'll be a very positive piece for the district, especially when we're working with staff where we don't have buildings or space during the course of the day.
Perfect. So this kind of touches right back on what we were saying here about the high acoustic value. So we've specified a door that's STC 50. We're up to insulation up above that, so there's actually continuity all the way to the ceiling. One of the most interesting things, and the difficult things about this building, it has a lot of freedom for this district, for all of you. It has a lot of it has very high roof line that we're having to deal with. So it's it provides a lot of flexibility, but it also, we have to take some partitions very high in order to isolate them adequately. And this is one of the cases here. We've got a roof deck that's almost 20 feet up, 18, 20 feet up, and we'll have some walls up above this with insulation and some gypsum board to help make this a true partitioned off space. We also have going to permanently mount two very large 75-inch monitors up here, and those should give us, I think the technology engineer was feeling that we could probably get 35 feet off of those of adequate visibility. That takes us probably even beyond this partition, but the plan right now is to have mobile carts that can be actually like learning boards with some extra audio on them. So if you had to open that up, these carts could come in here, be fed off of data and power off the sides, and they could provide secondary viewing for an audience. This is closed. This what was called smartboard for simplest understanding could be back in the administration space in the conference room, and then this one could be pulled up in here, just kind of permanently in this conference. So you could go wherever you wanted. You could move into the hallway for something or someplace else, but they have a lot of flexibility, and they also help with the space and its functionality. So this is the corridor through the space, and I'll focus on this block here, which is registration and the lobby desk zone, a little bit of the, this is a workroom support space, printing and so forth. So if you come over to here, you see that we have our desk here with also kind of a parent meeting, just a comfortable, instead of being at someone's desk, and just sit down there, have the family there together, maybe a child, a couple parents. We also, with this, have a large opening to try to provide that feeling that it's accessible and easy. Also allows the easy viewing of the corridor to be monitored, so if there's a child that's not in the space, it kind of opens it up. Also allows for easy visual connection between reception and here in case reception has to go escort somebody through, then there's just a little bit of tag team there. Again, right off the back of the receptionist, we will have the workroom. So we have a lot of casework in here, so there's lots of paper storage, lots of workspace. We also have some open space in the casework to allow for reams of paper to be stored right there next to the printer. So that's kind of the welcome and logistical hub of when you first get in this space. And so this will be primarily used for access from the administration space. So this will be the main thing, but when the receptionist needs just to get something or to make a quick visit in here, make a copy for somebody, they can go through that door there. We also have a little extra printing cubby up here right off there, so that someone in the boardroom or any of the other spaces, they don't have to go across the whole space. Everybody following me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. We also have the monitor up here. This would be a rotating display monitor, so whatever you want to have in there, that's going to be programmed as basically events and however in that space. These are the building blocks of the administration space. Trying to stick to these sizes, but we have one conference room in the administration space. You saw the other conference rooms over at the board or the multi-purpose space. So that's pretty much what we're working with, trying to get those square footages for the different needs. So then here's a revised cost. We're talking about we had to pick up a lobby space, with the lobby space, and also with the fact that we have this very large board, called the boardroom, but politically correct, it's the multi-purpose space. That multi-purpose space has a large head count. If you have 200 some people in there, there's a lot of carbon dioxide and a lot of moisture that you're having to deal with over a half hour longer in that space. So you get that stale, tired feeling. You have to crank a lot more air in that space. We were hoping that the mechanical units would suffice for that, but that's the function the building needs to serve. The equipment couldn't handle it, so there has to be a couple new air handlers. We knew there'd be a new air handler to handle the admin space, but for the boardroom, for that big meeting space, there's some mechanical cost to that.
Well, I think also I may mention the fact that when we went to assess the existing HVAC that was supporting the doctor's office suites, the finish, they had cannibalized a lot of the HVAC, and there was a lot of it that was non-functioning. I think even, it wasn't even really installed according to spec
Right.
in a couple of places, so there was part there that was gonna have to be
Yeah, it's kind of cannibalized. And,
renovated.
the cost of the mechanical didn't go up too much, but it couldn't come down. We've done a lot of that. There's a lot of effort on mechanical to try to find ways to redistribute some things, take some cost out of different places. But that really held their number pretty solid. We did see plumbing go up a little bit, but electrical and telecom with some new lighting, some more intense. With the actually the mechanical system is a VAV system and has an electrical reheat, so that air comes in preconditioned, but then gets modified at the distribution point, and that had an electrical load that was the amount of electrical load with the change of the system that ends up bringing that cost up. And the telecom, there were some things there that really are with the boardroom, with the presentation quality that we're trying to provide to have the communications there, but then also security aspects, surveillance aspects, door access, those things have pushed that technology number up as well.
So we're talking about the security cameras and the wiring and the networking to incorporate those into the building, which don't currently exist in the building.
So breaking that down, this is, again, we just talked about it, but it's right there in your packet. We have the captioned corridor, we have non-school businesses bisecting it, we have one central waiting space for the whole the whole district office space. We have new restrooms that are a result of that as well. A new west entry door that we talked about that's now underneath the gable. That helps us with the life safety aspects of closing off that corridor. The operable partition, which is helping us with having a flexible use of that space, reducing our overall footprint for the building by being more economic there. Enhanced acoustics and technology to support meetings. So the enhanced acoustics are better sound support, better microphone support, with better processors that are in the cabinets to handle that. We have the new windows for the daylight surveillance system and additional hard wall spaces. So within that kind of that core, if you go back to the color, that there's a centralized space. Can I go back at all? Easy enough. Use that color plan. if you don't mind. We originally had a little bit of a bullpen concept. You had a few of your support team members that would be co-located in kind of large cubicles, sharing perhaps a common counter, but computers around. And that just really wasn't feasible to the operations of this group. The amount of confidentiality for each of the group, whether it be an HR or another administrative or payroll or whatever, those things were just so close to each other that there was just not practical. So we went further into subdividing the space, and this zone here, which had been more open, now becomes hard walled. But we don't take most of those spaces up to we call up to deck. We did have to finish them out. We do have to add probably a little bit more intense lighting. You have to add more controls for the HVAC system for that as well. Cost to do that, but the functionality is highly desirable. We can go back forward a few. We're about two. There we are. Okay. So the district and the design team spent several meetings trying to figure out how do we economize this? How do we be very prudent with the needs and what really makes sense for operating this facility, but how can we really do more with less? So instead of having monitors spread throughout a multi-purpose room and a monitor in every conference room and a monitor in the break room and a monitor in, as we've seen in our different tours, in administrative offices, we're not doing that. Putting a few clever touches, those few monitors that we've talked about, those are going outside the construction budget. The phones.
The Clever Touch piece, that's a brand name, it's a touch screen monitor that is interactive. That we've had some of those, we were looking at some of those to replace these when they hit end of life. They're more economical and they last about 25,000 hours as opposed to a bulb of 2,500 hours, so.
Outstanding resolution and, yeah. So the camera aspects of the surveillance are shifted outside the budget, so because of just the economy of district purchasing that versus having the different markups and so forth.
When we look at this piece, if we bid this into the project, there's a markup that everybody that puts their fingerprints on this, so there's a install markup, there's a sale markup, so rather than us, we can go direct and buy, and we can have the wiring put in, but we can install
Substantial
ourselves,
savings.
make it more economical.
Substantial savings.
Yeah. Need the next one?
Yeah. Okay, so then there's also, again, outside the budget, outside the construction budget, as is industry standard, there's the FF&E aspect. So the district is going to look at trying to find furniture that can survive a move and is not required in that place which they are vacating.
So we do have some furniture that we will reutilize that is in good shape, and we'll just move it. We're not gonna just buy new furniture for everything and then have extra furniture laying around.
But there'll be things, some new guest seating, new lobby desk. The lobby desk versus being a crafted millwork piece that's custom, we're going to find something that'll be a case good from a major furniture company or something. Just already, we'll just have one that matches our layout as close as possible. And that brings down the cost too, because it's a mass-produced piece with some slight customization versus coming out of a custom woodworker studio. What else was there up here? So there's a reception desk, kitchen appliances, and those furniture items. Here we have all the chairs that'll be, and the new desk that'll go for the different meeting rooms especially. And those are the public faces too, so you want those to be more robust, cleaner, fully operable, whereas some of the more antiquated stuff can kind of get buried into the storage rooms and into certain people's, or anyone's office, just depends how it fits. So just being judicious about that. Looking ahead at this schedule, we're a little bit behind. Looks like we're a week behind here. We're looking to try to put this out in about 10 days. Try to get this out for the 21st. But basically that kind of grouping goes back, I think this goes back about 15 days, 10 days. Hopefully we can, after we get to this point, we can kind of stay on this schedule. Some of this can compress a little bit. So advertisement, as Greg was talking about, there's advertisement language that's going to request the bids. We'll also have some language in some of the when they go to get their bid documents from the printer house, the specifications will have also some requirements stated there. Not anybody, they have to also provide with their bid evidence of their work that they've done before. So some quals goes in with that bid versus just anybody. So that'll be with it. Then that'll come back into, we point Terry's office as the place where we'll go, but essentially to the district offices, and then we'll probably move to large open space depending on how many people are bidding. Will we go into the empty room or not, and have a bid opening?
Is it a bonded project?
was gonna ask you
It has
that.
to be done.
Here we go. Item 6.
Bill has reviewed this language and he's okayed it.
Two bid guaranteed bond for the full amount of project. So now, is this for the general or is this for all subs? Or do you know?
I don't know, so we can see where we go with that. That's primarily just through the general, right now, that language right now, so.
Which is fine, I mean, you know, I was just curious because I know there's gonna be a lot of folks who's gonna wanna bid on it. If they go under the GC, then they can use this bond.
I think we're gonna make sure that there are, I don't think anyone can, I don't think we have anything that's broken out to be other than through the GC.
GC, okay.
Yes, so it'll be a single contract, single
So
product.
you'll hold the contract and the bond then.
Yeah. And we were thinking about having technology group pulled out separate, but then it just becomes this whole new contractual, it goes from being that single prime, a single GC to multi-prime. And just, so we removed so much of the technology out of that budget as well as we could, but it's all gonna be installed under one person, so that understanding of the whole process and sequencing is under one person's responsibility, and so if there's anything, it's
Yeah,
like,
you only wanna make one phone call.
that's right, so,
Yeah.
exactly.
One guy.
If there was some part of that, some sub-part of that, communications, area that might be done by, some of the people locally here, will that be contracted to them, or will they be reviewed? Who are the contractors?
Contractors are open. So this will be published, and there's not an invitation list, it's a public.
So this is in the newspaper and anybody.
Anybody can bid on it.
Wait, and you also said it goes out to the,
And we're gonna.
The different
market it
houses.
to-
right, I was gonna say, there's different houses
Yeah,
out there,
yeah,
guys
yeah.
can involve in.
Different plant rooms and so forth,
Yeah.
yes.
It's also website we typically put it on.
What I'm
too.
getting
It's,
at is,
I can't even name it, it's called
if there are
fifty
any
stuff on the
local
state. I think all the contractors
contractors
look
that can do any or all parts of that, we get a lot more support locally. If this contract comes to Chicago or California.
Oh, yeah, but this contract will more than likely be an Ohio, and this is also a project that we're hoping, and that I think we're all hoping, is they know of the master plan, right? They want to develop a relationship.
This is an audition
Yeah.
for when we do our facility build.
So there might be a very,
So whoever does this,
Right, the only.
They'll be
and
bidding,
I
but-
agree with Wayne, if you
Yeah.
can get people locally, but if it's bonded, then a lot of times, that's gonna cut out a lot of your
Right.
contractors, because a lot of them don't have the cash
Right.
to bond the project.
right. Yeah,
but if the GC is bonded
If
and
the
they're,
GC is
and they're
bonded,
bringing
then
in
they can bring in
subs.
whomever,
Yeah.
that's, right, that's why I
Yes.
said,
Right.
I asked that question, because then they can bid to that GC.
So we're like hiring the GC and then he's hiring the.
Right.
Yeah.
We have gone back and, go ahead.
I think I saw on your website that you were willing to subcontract or help guide any small part or complete project, is that right? In other words, it could be broken down in little pieces, like what we're talking about.
The problem that you'd run into though is, I think we're required by law to be bonded, because we're a public
Hey,
entity.
we're carrying the bond, we're covered.
Well, you're talking about the architects carrying the bond, then they'd have to carry the contract.
Right.
And if they carry the contract, then they're gonna hire the GC and the people underneath.
Whoever wins that contract, it's my understanding, they'll have to be bonded, they won't
Yeah.
even be reviewed for the
Yes.
contract.
Well, right, they have to be, they have to submit bonding with it.
We'll submit
Once
bonding.
that happens, they can let those contracts out in pieces to anybody they please.
Exactly,
Exactly.
you're exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
so,
You're exactly
so,
right.
so anybody local can be calling anybody they know. There's a network of understanding of these, so whether they're going, somebody might go to Cleveland, somebody might go to.
Bonded, they're all covered.
Right,
Exactly.
right,
Right.
right.
Well, because it's, because it's public funding, we have to have a bond.
It's covered by them.
Correct.
Right.
Not us.
It's not gonna be a small GC that does metal buildings and pole barns is gonna come after this contract.
Well, yeah,
It's gonna-
I just seen what 993 you had up there, and there's very few GCs out there that's got $1 million to lay out for a bond.
locally.
Well, yeah, there's a few, but there's not
Yes,
many.
there's not many.
There's not many. But like Wayne said, if they, once they're bonded, they can farm it out to, if Wayne and I
And
are
it
electricians,
would
we
make
can
sense,
get on the
that-
electrical
yeah,
part.
they're trying to make money
Exactly.
too, it would make
Right.
sense that they would be looking for the
Right.
best
Mhm.
company at the most reasonable price to do the
Sure.
work, so,
Everybody should
I
be,
want quality.
yeah.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's handshaking right now, in advance, you know, thinking of
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
what's coming down the road.
Everybody's
There's a lot
putting
of
their
good
teams together,
relationships.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
My math says it comes out about $63 a square foot.
Yes, it does.
Is that,
It's pretty aggressive. I mean, I think we feel that we've done quite a bit to try to pare down the level of finishes to be very economic to this. The problem is how fast is the market heating up? I mean, it's heated up, it's gonna slow down, it's gonna keep going up, it's gonna raise steady. No one really knows. You listen to any radio report or reading New York Times, or not, or the Wall Street Journal, there's a lot of uncertainty right now because of the of interest rates and so forth. So we're hoping that let's just stabilize a little bit, understand what we understand now, and make it through the next 6 months. 6 months is a pretty good window. Just hopefully, still in the winter, we still have some people trying to figure out what they're doing for the latter half of the year.
So we know we would have to revise some of the dates here, because it's gonna take us a couple of days to get the ad out in the paper, and so the timeline here, we'll work on revising that timeline tomorrow to make sure we can get the ad out to start seeking bids and get that timeline in place. I'm thinking, I think right now the projection is, I think there was, if you look at this, bid opening on the 14th of March, well, that's the middle of spring break week, so that probably isn't gonna happen. So we probably would move that to the next week when we look at bid opening. So Terry and I can get together tomorrow and revise the timeline, and we can get it into the paper and get it advertised and start the process.
The timeline reflects what we feel is the adequate amount of time to get these things accomplished, so you wherever Greg and staff decide to move that, they understand now what it really needs, what the windows need to be. So we'll support whatever works out for the district.
If they bid, they can't withdraw their bid for 60 days.
Right. So we would look probably, it might be right around the week before the March board meeting that there might be, we might ask for a special board meeting to award the bid.
That's all right.
If you think about your calendar. And then and then Nathan did bring some of the finishes and the materials for you to review and look at. I think you brought paint samples and carpet samples. And,
Janet is holding you up for us.
Go down again.
We also have some alternate bid items too as well, that really didn't make this presentation. This is mainly about what gets us to this price, but there's some things there that are also, would be a good thing to have for the space. So and you've all been in that corridor, right? And we have lamp fixtures that belong in maybe a ballroom at one time, or someone's foyer or whatever, but it's not really contemporary, and it's not really business office space quality. So one of the things is, with that now being the lobby space and basically the front door of Little Miami School District, Little Miami Schools, is to renovate that lighting, to take all that lighting out and put it in a new LED lighting, which would redo the coves to match a new linear lamp that goes down through the middle. So a very nice, as you've seen hanging in some spaces, those pendant linears that hang in this space. We would do that with a light that probably has a little bit of just a nice bit of light coming down, but mostly pushing up on the ceiling, and then we have the light coming from the side. So that's an alternative bid item. That also includes just outside the lobby where the new restrooms are, and then we have another item for, I believe, for the 2 vestibules, which would let those vestibules match, so that when you came to the building, you came in the space, the lighting and the finishes were consistent, and,
So that's an alternate bid that we can see what the price
Yeah.
is and take it or not.
Well, I can see this as being, I mean, a great opportunity for immersion to donate those, since you're gonna be taking pictures of that corridor
yeah.
to show it, and you could charge it
But
on
actually-
advertising,
Good website.
yeah.
I mean, we can say-
You can see the
we can say-
web lights that
I
we
think
do
it's- I think
now.
it's- yeah,
We
I
can say
think it's-
lighting sponsored by immersion.
Yeah, well, I mean, seriously, I mean, you wouldn't wanna take a picture of a brand new foyer that's got old,
Right.
lighting fixtures.
I mean, it just won't look, you know how wonderful our website looks, and we definitely want it to be of that.
So,
Same message.
we'll look forward.
So I'll put
Yeah.
down here donated by immersion.
The principals owe me a few favors. Then there's another item, which is, you can go to your plans, you can see that this is a large square, deep square with a lot of space on the inside. It's away from windows, right? You have these different offices that are in a corridor that's away from the glass. So one of the things that I like to do is introduce some natural light, and I originally had proposed putting in 4 different light tubes. They're like skylights, but they're just an acrylic dome on the top that goes through a highly reflective straw or tube, and it hits a little diffuser that sends it out. So those are also, we have 4 of those at the 4 corners of the racetrack, so that when you're in that space, you have that little bit of natural light. So that's an item there. And then the lobby floor. The lobby floor being all that tile. We do have a couple places we're having to demo a couple things. And then we're also putting some carpet out from registration's
Central
office.
registration.
So one of the thoughts is, can we just get a cost from the contractor to remove all that tile? We'll just do the same carpet that you see over there across that, so that the finish, that basically completes making it the school district offices all the way through. We've been very economic about the finishes. That one tile is gonna be the tile throughout the whole space. Everything is gonna be this large block of, but it's wonderful because it threads in the Little Miami colors, you can see, in it. It's just, that's what it's gonna be. So instead of having to have borders or various things of this is always tying into the various hues that we'll have for the paint. So most of the paint will be an off-white with some accent colors. So we'll throw in some feature walls or whatever of a little bit bolder colors that's still in line with school colors. And then these colors are going to be, we'll have one color, I don't know if it's one color. We're going to have one line going underneath the operable partition space. So when you look at the multi-purpose room, where they have those zigzag walls in here, we're going to put a band right underneath there of about 3 slipping like this. So there'll be kind of like a running bond like this. So there'll be 3 of them doing this, okay, across the floor, and then in the opposite direction. So a little, not a full, not completely symmetrical, but it'll be probably going from that door area all the way to the front and then across here. And that's just if you're going to have the signing events or something that's really celebrating the district to the public, you've got a little bit more bold, a little louder school colors there. So, and then kitchens, your break room and workroom space, just a clean linoleum. We're also in the bid, in the base design, we put in roller shades. So instead of the blinds that are clink, 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 and bending and kind of in dust, these are the roller shades. So you just chain them and bring them up and down. Lets a little bit of light through. These are really, really nice item. We also have for the new restrooms that we're carving off to the side, those 3 restrooms, those spaces there, we'll be getting just some clean porcelain tile there. It doesn't match the other space, but, we feel it's not that it doesn't match, it's not a replication of the corridor space, but it's just a nice, clean, kind of sympathetic to those tones, but they're not really up against them, so we really like those. Has some countertop colors, I think we'll see, one of the things that we did, is everyone really liked, doors more of this tone here, more of the honey or the maple tone. Everything over there, all the millwork is cherry stain oak. So it's like, how much do we take out? So what we're trying to do is instead of, doing a full replacement of things, we have a couple doors we can reuse, but we have different items in the building that are staying. Let's just kind of take it all in that direction. So instead of, even though the board and as designers, we really like that bright, fresh, light tone, can we say
That's what
something?
you got.
And
It's not bad.
so, that's kind of things that everyone had to let go. It's a rubber base, and that's pretty much it. To be our countertop, just another gray. And then right now, we're looking at still doing some light casework. So I'm not the interior designer, but she knows what she's doing. I'm just trying to think about all the doors. So there might be a different tone of.
Their interior designers do a nice job.
Yes. She can just.
And she'll work with us as we look at the furniture
Oh, yeah.
piece as well.
Absolutely, she'll be doing that package. So, it's been fun. Now the real fun stuff. Are there any questions?
We can look at that. I mean, that would press.
It's a lot to take in.
I don't think there's no question at the moment. You
If
have
we
a
have
Bobby?
questions, we'll let you know.
Okay.
How's that?
Mike, you have a
You know where to
question?
reach
Good.
us.
What?
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know where to reach us.
We do.
I think we just need to get started.
They have their own,
Yeah, Nick
actually
just-
right now dedicated, they don't have ours.
That's where we'll have a board meeting from now on.
Wayne, you
Yeah.
got any questions for him?
I think you pretty much covered it there. I had some questions on cost and who the contractors would actually subcontract to, because they all do that.
Yeah, with it being bonded though, we're gonna, whoever it is gonna separate them into the boards there.
Yeah.
for sure.
That will be their decision, right?
Oh, that's right. Bonding ties up a lot of
They're
cash.
responsible for whoever they sub.
And then I also
Right.
noticed, they also have to
They won't.
supply 10% down.
I think, yeah, that's good.
I think it's 10% down, and they don't get it back until after the,
The award of the contract.
contract
As
award.
far as
I'm gonna ask him
interest
in a minute.
of our
Randy.
HVAC, are we in the ballpark?
I need to ask you something.
They're using the most efficient things that they can use while also providing the thermal comfort and the specific controls. It's the newer equipment, the newer refrigerant, and I think we have all scroll-driven compressors. It's all really good stuff. Aside from like opening our windows and using other things, it's very solid. It's not Mercedes, but it's very wise selection.
We'll be here at some point.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Ms. Grice?
I'll second.
Ms. Jernay? Roll call, please.
Mr. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Jernay?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Grice?
Yes.
Mr. Kaminski?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.